Hello, welcome to Don't Quote Me podcast episode 1. Today it's me presenting, it's Tom Smithers, and our 4 panellists. We've got Barbara, Lewis, Alex and Chris. This is the podcast where we will be talking about quotes in the world of sport, and we will have a couple of other sections during the podcast where we have a little fun and game with what's been going on during the world of sport. So if everyone wants to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Lewis. I'm an 18-year-old from Bangor in North Wales. My interests include, sports really, football, rugby, golf, tennis, but most of all football. I'm a match-going Manchester United and Wales fan. I've played football for a long time as well, still do now.
My name's Tom, I'm 20 years old and I'm from Southampton. I'm a massive football fan. I've been a season ticket holder for 10 years now at Southampton. I also like rugby as well and sports like boxing. I'm really looking forward to being part of this podcast and talking about what's been going on in the world of sport. Thank you guys.
Hello, I'm Alex, I'm 18. I'm also a student at the University of South Wales on the sports journalism course. I'm a massive football fan, proud supporter of the Welsh national team, as well as a massive Cardiff City fan. I also enjoy lots of other sports such as boxing, F1 and rugby. A massive Scarlets fan as they're my local team, and I hope you do enjoy the podcast.
My name is Barbara and I'm 19 years old. I'm the only girl in our podcast team and also the only member who isn't really interested in football or rugby. But opposite to it, between my favorite sports you can find tennis, any kind of skiing or snowboarding. But my most favorite sport is ice hockey. And as you can see in NHL, I am Pittsburgh Penguins supporter.
Hi, I'm Chris Stonadge. I'm also 18 years old like some of the others on the podcast, and I'm also a sports journalism student at the University of South Wales. I'm currently editing this podcast as we speak, so that's kind of fun. But you should know that I do stuff on YouTube with Total Sport and stuff for Prost International and Rush the Cop online, and going to join a new website as well, so I'm very, very busy. And yeah, I just hope you enjoy this podcast. I'm really excited for it. Yeah, let's get into it.
So this is the first section of the podcast called Bring a Quote, where everyone here will be bringing a quote that they found from the world of sport over the past week. And I'm going to kick us off with a very typical Jose Mourinho quote, which he said post-match after his team's draw with West Ham, which was, "I prefer just to say football happened." And in my opinion, you can't get more Jose Mourinho than that.
No. It sounds very similar to obviously, I prefer not to speak. You hit the nail on the head there, Alex, with such a Jose Mourinho quote.
Yeah, and I mean, on principle, I don't know where he didn't really give any credit to West Ham in that quote.
I did some research and I think he's kind of controversial person. And I think it's kind of like interesting and maybe surprising to hear something like that from him.
Imagine for Spurs though, it felt like a loss, obviously, because they 3-0 up and then, draw 3-3 against West Ham. And it does feel like a loss for Jose.
I think for me personally, I think it's quite refreshing to have a manager as cocky and as controversial as Mourinho in the league. These days you get a few people within football and other sports as well who kind of shy away from speaking their feelings to kind of stay in line with what should be said. Obviously, no, I think that Mourinho should have given West Ham a bit of credit, but I expect nothing less from the man. I think that's him in a nutshell, really.
So my quote is from Piers Morgan. He said, regarding the Pickford tackle on Van Dijk, I don't know would you call it a tackle? I don't know, but he said, if Pickford did that in the streets, he'd be arrested for assault. I remember it was on Twitter, and I remember I read it and I thought, well, if Anthony Joshua punched somebody in the street, he would get arrested. If, Sam Warburton rugby tackled somebody in, St. David's Centre, he would be arrested for it. So I just thought it was quite a pointless thing to say, really.
The thing is as well, I believe this whole situation has been taken out of proportion as well. I mean, Piers Morgan is obviously controversial enough, but within the world of football, challenges like that happen. Van Dijk's not the first ACL that's happened. I mean, when Jay Rodriguez got one at Southampton, you didn't see people making a petition to get the pitch banned because he fell on the grass. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think as a Liverpool fan myself, I'm obviously going to come to the defence a little bit, but I think it's a mixture of just overreaction from both the club, the players, and journalists as well. People don't stop asking questions about that Jordan Pickford tackle. People don't stop asking questions about it. So I guess they are going to have more quotes about it because they obviously are asking questions about it. What do you reckon, Alex?
Well, I mean, why would you even say that? It just doesn't make sense. As Lewis said, if Sam Warburton rugby tackled someone in the street, he'd get arrested. I don't think Jordan Pickford would ever slide tackle someone on the street corner. It's just try and keep it within the element of football. Don't try and take it out of the context, as we've said. I just think it was a pointless quote, really, from Piers Morgan.
My quote is from Ralph Beckstorm, and it's just a great anytime you win an individual award, but winning the Stanley Cup was the only thing we had on our minds, and that's why we played together so hard. Ralph Beckstorm is like American ice hockey player who was debuting in NHL 62 years ago, and I think in the quote it's like nice to see that for the players it's most important to like the team winning, not the individual award.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a really good quote, and obviously, Stanley Cup, a big competition.
Stanley Cup is the biggest competition. Like when you win the Stanley Cup, you are absolutely like God, and this person won it like 6 times.
Yeah, I imagine you can take it into every sport. Really, you've seen teams, football, rugby. Sorry to bring it away from ice hockey because I just don't really know much about ice hockey, but yeah, it's a really good quote in the sense that a team who plays together with team spirit are more likely to win than a team who don't.
Well, I mean, when you compare a quote like that to what other people say in other sports, as Barbara said, when you win the Stanley Cup, you're regarded as like a god in ice hockey, and for someone who's won it 6 times to come out and say that team spirit is still more important than individual, it just shows that sportsmanship is still more important at the end of the day to some people who may have won the biggest competition in that sport more times than anyone else. So you've always got to really remember why you got there, who helped you get there, instead of just trying to take the glory for yourself, which I think is a fantastic quote.
Tom?
No, I fully agree with that. Teamwork is the most key thing really in sports, and obviously in particular ice hockey is a team game, whereas I think in other sports it's maybe not as much as a team game, but yeah, like Alex said, you have to work as a team to get to those kind of achievements, and yeah, I really like that quote. Okay, so my quote is from Paul Scholes, and it was quite recently. He said, "Erling Haaland is sensational. I think he's up there with your Ronaldo and Messi levels with what I've seen so far." Me personally, I think that's a bit of a bold statement from Paul Scholes there, because I mean, Haaland's been around for 2 years maybe at the max at the top level. Good player, don't get me wrong, but to compare someone to Messi and Ronaldo after such a short space of time is a bit bonkers, really. I don't agree with that quote at all.
Yeah, so say in ice hockey, Barbara, if a player's come along for say 2 years, and there's been players at the top who've been doing it for ages and ages, how would you react if they were compared to each other?
I think that you can't say like anything bad against the legends who like leave the sport, but I think that it's really good like to follow the new talents in every kind of sport, but I also think that every talent needs the time to show how good they really are, like in sport, but of course like in a personally, but because the model of sport, like the athlete made a big role,
Alex?
Personally, I think Haaland is going to be the best. Well, if not in the next 3-4 years, he will be the best striker in the league. Well, in any league he plays in, really, in the world, probably. I would like to see him take a step up again, though. Although Dortmund do, play Champions League football every year. If he was to play for one of the elite clubs, whether it be Bayern, Real, Barca, I'd like to see him at the highest level.
Liverpool, Man City. Yeah, I genuinely, I don't think you should compare Haaland to Messi and Ronaldo. I think the one you compare him to is Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
I was about to say that. I was
Yeah.
going to say I agree with Tom. You can't really sit there and say, Haaland's already on the levels of two players that have been doing it for more than like 10, 15 years. It's just not. It's not a good example, really. And to be honest, if people still aren't considering Lewandowski on the levels of Messi and Ronaldo, then there's no way Haaland should be up there either.
My quote's from the world of tennis. Just moving forward, it's from Roger Federer on Instagram, and he was talking about Rafa Nadal winning his latest thing. So he said, "I have always had the utmost respect for my friend Rafa as a person and as a champion." How much do you think that the two greatest players probably of all time, the greatest grass court player, the greatest clay court player, definitely, to have that respect between each other, I think it's fantastic. And there's a rivalry, but it's not a rivalry off the court, if you know what I mean. They are friends. How much would that be important in other sports, do you think?
I think there's an element of it in a lot of sports, really. Yeah. To see two of the best have a relationship off the court that is so close compared to how you'd think it would be, it's really, really, really good to see. And I think when you compare the best in other sports, I think when you compare, for example, LeBron James to maybe Stephen Curry in basketball, there's always more heat on the court compared to off it. And I think when sports stars take the step back off the court, they can appreciate what each other are doing on the court when they play each other.
They motivate each other as well, similarly to Ronaldo and Messi, in the sense that, if you have somebody right on your tail, you're going to work harder to win every championship that you can win. So it is similar to Ronaldo and Messi in that sense.
I fully agree.
I think it's also connected with the soul of the sport, like tennis, because tennis is so much pure sport in behavior, in friendships and things like that. So we have got two legends who have so many experiences in that sport, and I think it's connected with the mentality of players in tennis. They are always calm. You don't see always on the court that they will get into the fight, So I think it's similar to this situation.
Yeah. So that is it for the Bring a Quote section. That went a bit smoother than expected, I think. So moving on, we're going into the next segment of the show, and this is what I'm taking charge of this week. I will be rotating every week, and this is the Who Said This section. So basically, I'll be giving 3 quotes to the guys, one after another, and they'll be thinking which big name in sport said this. If they're struggling, I might give them a clue as to which sport they're from. But we'll move on. So are we ready for the first quote, guys?
Yeah.
So this came from a person, I think it said it was in 2011. Meeting Michael Jordan was like meeting Black Jesus. So who said that?
See, I want to say it's a basketball player, but I'm pretty sure they've all met Michael Jordan a few times. So, was it a basketball player?
Yeah, it was. Go on, I'll be nice. You can ask me a few questions.
Like Kobe Bryant.
Think out loud, guys. Think out loud.
I'm thinking maybe because 2011 early careers, maybe Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant.
Anything? What do you reckon, Alex?
Top of my head, as Tom said, I think it's got to be someone who was younger at the time, less experienced than they are now. So I'd have to say, I wouldn't mind taking a punt at LeBron James, but at the same time, I feel like it could be Stephen Curry. I feel like that's something he would say.
So I'll go around and I'll get all of your answers. So Lewis, who are you going to go for, mate?
I don't want to be boring, but the first person who came to my head was Steph Curry. So
you go for Steph Curry. Tom?
I go for Kevin Durant.
Barbara? I'm the same. I don't like basketball that much, so
skip the answer.
He's going to skip. Okay, that's fine. And Alex, who are you going to go for?
Say, as I said, I don't want to be boring, but I genuinely think it is Steph Curry.
Okay. So I'll tell you all now that you all got it wrong. It is, unfortunately for you lot, it is LeBron James.
Oh, I literally said it was one of the two.
Yeah, I thought it would be too early because he was at the Heat during like 11.
Yeah, I think it's a quote from one of his books, if I'm not mistaken. The second one, I came from my hometown to play for the best team in England, to play for the best team in Spain, and to play for the best team in Germany. And this is a footballer. So, Barbara, I know I can see you quivering in the corner.
Oh, I think
I'm thinking about which players which played in Spain and in German I know, and it's kind of hard, but I try my best.
If worse comes to worse, just name a footballer. So, Lewis, what were you thinking, bud?
I've got an idea.
So I'm thinking that possibly Coutinho. Hear me out. I don't agree with best team in England, Liverpool, but then it goes to best team in Spain, Barcelona, and then best team in Germany, Bayern Munich.
Well, my guess is similarly, for the same reasons, I don't think that Liverpool are the best or biggest club in England, but I was going to say Xabi Alonso. So Real Madrid, I don't know if he is from Madrid, but Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and Liverpool.
Alex.
I've been sitting here trying to think of a player that's played for the biggest team in England, Spain, and Germany, and the only one that came to my head was Coutinho as well. But I honestly don't think it is. I probably would have to say Coutinho, but I don't agree with it. That's what I mean. I don't think he would say biggest club in England. He probably would though, but.
Anything from you, Barbara? Do you want to skip this one again?
No, I am not. That's okay.
It's fine. So let's have our final guesses then. So, Lewis, who are you going to go for?
Going to stick with Xabi Alonso.
I'm going to go with Coutinho.
Yeah, I just can't think of anyone else. I'm going to go for Coutinho. I can't think of anyone else.
Well, the answer is Xabi Alonso. So Lewis Sharpe is correct. So he went So he went from Real Sociedad, his hometown club, to Liverpool, then to Real Madrid, then to Bayern Munich. So yeah, there we go. A man who knows his football clubs. This one is from the world of rugby. So hopefully it'll be better. So this quote is from a very famous rugby player. He said, "Knowledge is knowing that tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad." So which famous rugby player do you think said that quote? We'll start with Alex.
Is it a Welsh rugby player?
It's not a Welsh rugby player, no. Now, just to give you a bit of a just because it's a rugby player and no one likes rugby. It is an Irish rugby player.
That's all I've got.
Alex?
No idea. I can't even put a name to that at all.
Tom?
I think Johnny Sexton, but I'm thinking of the small one who retired. I can't remember his name. A few years ago.
I'll tell you what, you're right as that person. But
what's his name? It was like a number 2, I think, or number 3. What was his name? He retired not recently, a couple of years ago. I don't know his name, but I know for a fact as soon as you say it, I'm going to kick myself.
So, Brian O'Driscoll is.
Oh, I actually know his name as well.
Yeah, he's one of the most famous Irish rugby players, and of course.
How did I forget?
So there we go. That is the "Who Said This" section. So we're moving on to Lewis Sharpe.
So now we're moving on to a new segment. It's called Two Truths and a Lie. And, as the name suggests, I'm going to give you 3 quotes, of which you're going to have to, and say who said them, of which you're going to have to say which 2 you think are truthful and which is a lie. So I've made up 1 quote. This week, I have been looking at Mario Balotelli quotes. Obviously, he was crazy. Played for Man City, Liverpool for a brief span. I'm sure you remember, Chris.
I do.
Italy. And he was known more so for his off-the-field antics than what he was for, his output on the pitch. So the first one, A, is, "I'm the best in the Premier League." The second quote is, "Only Messi is better than me." And C, I told Cristiano Ronaldo I would be better than him. So I'll start with Barbara. Actually, have a discussion first, yeah, and then we'll
Let's
see.
say they all sound like Balotelli quotes. They all sound like things you would say.
The second one again.
I don't know. When would I don't know whether Real Madrid or Man United played AC Milan back in the day, or when maybe Man City played Real Madrid. I don't know when Balotelli and Ronaldo would have met. But I have a feeling it could be the second one. I don't know about you lot.
I was thinking the second one as soon as I heard it.
I don't know. I have like weird feelings about the first one because it's like too much ego in it.
Yeah,
all of them are really egotistical. That's
he's massively egotistical, man.
I got a formal answer from everybody now, please. So, Tom, what do you think?
I'm going to go with only Messi is better than me.
Alex?
I'm going to go... Was it I told Cristiano Ronaldo I'd be better than him?
Yep. Barbara?
I will go with the first. I'm the best in the Premier League.
And Chris?
I'm going for the second one. I'll go with Tom on that one.
I can tell you that Barbara was right. He did, well, to my knowledge at least, he did not say that he's the best player in the Premier League, although he probably thought it.
There we go. Fair enough. Shows how difficult it is, doesn't it?
So that wraps up this week's episode of Don't Quote Me. Thank you to Chris, Barbara, Lewis, and Alex for joining us this week. Our next episode will be out in 2 weeks, so make sure to subscribe, like, and follow us for the next podcast. Thank you very much, guys.